everybody, we're back after like a month. We were canceled by Netflix.
Just our animation part.
We're not out of it.
Connor, I think you mean we were cut by the Academy Awards. Is really what you mean.
Well, that's because you need to keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth, guys.
Damn it! I was just working my way over there.
I was talking about the editing category, but yes, that also happened.
Yeah, I think the last time we recorded, there wasn't a war in Europe, and now there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah. No, because it was everything was amping up, right? It was like
we were 5 minutes to midnight. Now we're 2.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're doing great. We're doing great.
Hey, Lou, you know there's gonna be another Watchmen follow-up from DC.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so hi everybody, we're back. Phantom Zone, Connor's here, Eric's here, Owen's here. No Hunter tonight, but Lewis is here. There is a new Flashpoint coming out. It's called Flashpoint Beyond, and is a sequel to Flashpoint
I read
and Watchmen, and I am upset.
I read it.
What if?
You want me to tell you about it? Read it.
Please.
I remember reading some stuff about it, but I haven't actually read it yet.
It's fucking dumb.
Coming from you, Lou, that means a lot. I need you to understand.
Doesn't it follow Thomas Wayne in Flashpoint timeline? That was
it's literally like the Thomas Wayne that was brought back, that they did the whole thing where he teamed up with Bane. It's that same Thomas Wayne wakes up pre-Flashpoint, like pre-Barry Allen coming to find him in the whole Flashpoint. It's like, the fuck? I thought we changed it. Why am I here? What the fuck is happening? That is the plot of the book. He's back in that world. While simultaneously
I'm
Batman...
very this egregious use of Thomas Wayne. Like
Batman is hanging around with, I know everyone's favorite characters, Marionette and Mime, looking into what's his name? The time bubble guy. That was originally on Legends of Tomorrow, but they got rid of him. What the fuck's that character's name?
Oh shit! Wait,
Rip Hunter?
Rip Hunter. They go into Rip Hunter's lab and to go find stuff to deal with time travel. Because Batman's he's like, I'm gonna get you back to your kid.
Oh yeah, I forgot. That's the subplot of Doomsday Clock. Mime and Marionette are really offensive to my existence because they come from the Watchmen universe, and Mime has just legit superpowers.
Yes,
but they come from the post Watchmen universe.
They're like a triple Xerox version of Alan Moore characters.
Yeah, that was something else I wanted to add. As much as Connor, you're saying you're disappointed by this, think how Alan Moore feels.
Oh, I'm sure. Oh God,
he's selling classes online now.
I know.
The frame of Mime, like pulling his fingers and making magic bullets. I'm sure Alan Moore would strangle himself with his own beard.
Right.
Also,
he's been conducting a spell to kill DC for years, and it's just taking time to slow.
Yeah.
He's creating a cult now with his class. You pay $85. He talks to you, and you don't realize he's doing an incantation to make you one of his slaves.
Exactly.
I seriously considered signing up for it because I'm like, what's the downside here? How could this go wrong exactly? And I can't really see one. So yeah.
Just to have Alan Moore talk to you, but it's not actually. It's a recorded video
from at the end of the hallway. Like a puppy.
Oh, it's just the echoing of him from his silver mines.
Yeah. But the other thing about Mime and Marionette is we need Joker and Harley for the Watchmen universe. No, we fucking don't. It's so much.
But Harley's too cool now. So they remember what was it last year, the year before, when they made a new girlfriend for Joker?
Yeah, I remember seeing something about that.
Yeah.
Punchline, I think. Is that the name? I think it's Punchline.
I think you're right.
It is Punchline, yeah.
Yeah,
I mentioned I stopped reading DC Comics pretty much at this point.
Everything you've told me right now has convinced me I only need to stick with their imprint stuff.
The only thing I like is the Sean Murphy stuff has been really good.
I've heard that. I'm gonna read that.
I want to read. I'm gonna read White Knight soon.
That's the Sean Murphy stuff.
Fucking phenomenal.
The hyper specific stuff, the specialty stuff. I want to read that, but I have no fucking interest in these big fucking events they keep doing.
No, and they
I
I still need to catch up on the Scott Snyder of it all because he's been fucking working like crazy since I stopped reading consistently. So there's just so much that I need to catch up on there.
Honestly,
I'm
the
just
last comic that came out that I was like, I gotta fucking read that was the last Ronin, the Ninja Turtles stuff.
oh, that's so good.
yeah, I was at a comic store over the weekend and was looking through like just it's not even a sketchbook, I guess that's the best name for it, but of stuff from Last Ronin, and it looks fucking amazing.
I
need
think
to
they
get around to
just
that.
announced a hardcover of it coming out.
Oh yes.
I also heard
Yeah.
that they're reverting back to the classic Eastman and Laird red bandanas, like an in-story reason for it, as as a symbolic return to form kind of thing. I'm like,
Oh, you talking about the current TMNT
yeah,
comic?
yeah. They're
Okay.
gonna go. They're switching back to the all red headbands.
Cool.
And that's
I mean, they're
IDW, I think, right?
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
so.
it's IDW.
That's
but-
second-rate comic publisher.
God, Ghost of
that's
Alan.
bold. Wow.
Yeah.
Bold.
I was gonna say with DC, like some of their Black Label stuff has been really good. Like I picked up a hardcover for a book called The Last God, and it's sword and sorcery epic type of thing, but it looks very European, the artwork, because it's just pencils and then they color over the pencils. There's no inking.
Very kind of like Mobius. I know that
Kind of, yeah. Like looks like stuff from Humanoid Press, but it's so cool. Like the dust jacket, you look inside of it and it's like a map, but then you can unfold it completely and have this huge map of the world. It's the coolest thing I've ever seen with a dust jacket on a book. Like more people need to do things like that. But yeah, like with DC, like all the stuff you were saying, Lou, like I can't imagine even trying to read DC books at this point.
I can't, but like Lou more so because I know he still listens. I really want to read that book that the Last Pod boys have been doing. It sounds great, and I know
the Soul Plumber.
Yeah, and everything I've heard about it sounds really good, really interesting.
Oh yeah, I've definitely been going off into more like indie stuff and old shit.
Any hope I had of keeping up with Flash, like with Dash, when I was like, "What's going on, Flash? Oh, there's 2 of them now. Oh, there's 3 of them. Okay, I'm just gonna." Yeah, because Wally's back. Barry is off doing something else. I think the Chinese girl is also getting her own series. I think I could be wrong. But I know there's like
purple. She's purple color scheme, right?
There's I think the Flash book is now splintered into like several different like narratives and like.
Well,
I love Wally, but like it still feels weird that they're like Wally's back and he's the Flash again. I'm like.
Let's pretend he didn't murder everybody.
Yeah, let's pretend he wasn't the center of a mass shooting event that DC, did.
Just give it a couple years, and there will only be one Flash, and it will be a character you've never heard of. And
in this supposed future, is this when Warner Brothers finally gets their shit together about what they're doing with DC properties?
This is after Discovery Plus has been bought by Universal.
Okay.
And by Warner Brothers, you mean Discovery.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Amber Heard is the manifestation of the spell that Alan Moore has been trying to cast for years.
Oh God.
She's going to be the end. She's just going to poop on everyone's bed.
God damn it.
The head of Discovery just walks into his office. She's just hovering over his desk. She's like, "That's right."
Don't say anything, or I'm gonna Me Too you.
Yeah, I saw a wild ass headline today that made me laugh, and I was like, "This is show material," and I'm glad it seemed to come out of the air for this conversation period specifically. So like, I'm on Facebook and I see this blurb from Liam Neeson. It says like, "Would you come back as Qui-Gon Jinn?" And he's like, "I'd do it for a movie." I was like, "Fuck, what would you fucking do?" Like, what would a Qui-Gon Jinn movie even be? What would it open with him like moments before Maul murks him, and he's like, "I bet you're wondering how I got here."
I don't feel I'm not upset about Liam Neeson because he's just after his wife died, he just does whatever gets thrown at him.
The problem here is that he will say yes to anything. It doesn't matter. He just needs to distract himself from looming death and loneliness.
There are literally pictures of that man with pissed pants on the internet.
Yeah, when I thought about it, I was like, I like Liam Neeson. I don't give a fuck about Qui-Gon.
And the reason he does not care is because they start below his knee.
On the Star Wars front,
Exactly.
Lou, feel free to correct me on this because I know you are the scholar here. I would say of all of us when it comes to
Liam
Star
Neeson.
Star Wars lore. On Star Wars lore in particular.
Evian bottle.
Before the events of Phantom Menace, we're supposed to understand that the galaxy has mostly been pretty peaceful. It's not a period of time where there's a lot going on, and the stuff that is going on is very like on the streets and
so
behind the scenes.
From memory, what is non-canon anymore, I believe there was a book that did like a triple parallel, what do you call it, of the 3 lives of Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Anakin, and that Anakin and Padme's relationship, Obi-Wan and I can't remember her name, but the Mandalore woman, and Qui-Gon also had a woman, and that Obi-Wan chooses not to have that connection. Qui-Gon chooses yes, but she ends up dying, and then we know what happens with Anakin, and it kind of flips between them. And he also is like his master was Dooku. So there is stuff to mine there, not played by Liam Neeson.
But
if they did it,
stuff though.
No, it is literally basically high fantasy Star Wars.
But it's like high drama. It's like before Ed Stark gets his head cut off.
Yes, it's the talking.
Yes, or even not even before that. Before the first episode, everything from before the first episode, where it's people like going to meetings and being like, "This is happening." Oh, and
it's
this is happening.
It's the conversations of like, all right, so the war's over. Who's king, and who do they have to marry to make peace? It's not the fighting. It's post-fighting and pre-fighting, and they're just talking about who's in relationships.
I would just like to make
interesting stuff is Sidious building his army up and like building him like becoming Sidious and like building his power. That's the interesting stuff from before to mine, if anything. So,
what about Snoke?
Point out that Obi-Wan did not actually have a human lover. He had a dewback, and that was.
That is very rude to call her in 2022.
I love this lizard.
I don't know if that sounds more sexist of a term or racist of a term. Dewback.
Why not both? Jesus Christ.
Oh my God.
So on things that are a little bit more relevant, we've all seen the Batman, right?
Yes. I saw the first 45 minutes.
Unhealthy amount of times.
Oh, you didn't see the whole movie yet, Lou?
I have not finished it now.
Okay.
It's fine. Okay. Whatever. I don't care.
We don't have to do spoilers, really.
I'll say the suit is fucking awesome. I love the way it looks. I love the collar, as weird as it sounds.
No, I was noticing that when I was watching it.
Is it Noir that had the collar?
Yeah, I think Noir and also some of the Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah, and I
think there a collar in Arkham Origins? I can't remember. It's very close to the Arkham Origins suit.
I was playing Knight, and like it's the Batman Noel suit that has the big.
Noel, that's what I was thinking of, not Noir. Noel. Yeah,
I could have sworn that Noir was something.
No, the different it's just like the cape and the collar. The chest piece is totally different because the Noel one's like gigantic. It's the whole chest.
What I like about this suit a lot is that it's weird seeing that much of his face, and what I like about this cowl in particular is like he's allowed to emote more than anybody has before.
I think it reminds me of the Daredevil Netflix cowl.
It does. Yeah. It's very similar.
It's very similar, which makes sense. Like those characters have a lot in common.
Yeah. A lot of the aesthetic, well, just in this interpretation of him is very close to Daredevil, which is why when I think I was one of the first people of us or sort of group to see it. I was like, I know Hunter is going to fucking love this because how much it reminded me of season 1 Daredevil, and just the tone of that and the way that like Daredevil talks or thinks about what he's doing is very similar to how Batman is in this movie, and the like lack of an appreciation for having a real life outside of being Batman. Yeah,
and I think that's them pulling specifically because there's one big writer that wrote both, which is like the one who kind of oozed and consumed those two characters in Miller. As much as like he sucks today.
Yes.
But like there's lots of little things. Like I think that combat is very Daredevil-esque in good ways.
Okay, so there's one scene in the movie that makes me giggle every fucking time, and it speaks to me how much more entertaining it is to watch Pattinson level these people. There's a scene towards the end where he has to get his suit on, but he infiltrates the Iceberg Lounge again. And he's not in Batman gear, but he's got his incognito gear on. And this guy comes up behind him, grabs him on the shoulder, and Pattinson gives him like two of the nastiest wham bams and just levels the fuck out of this dude. Like he has no time for anybody's bullshit in this movie, and I love it so much.
Well, it's because he's an antisocial goblin.
He is rocking the fuck out of people, and I can't get enough of it every time he levels somebody.
And it makes sense because they establish early this is year 2. Like he's been doing this. He's in the second year. And from what I've seen, I love that he's making the journals. Like that is so comic booky. I love the voiceover stuff. I love them showing that like the not saying that like, oh, I need to be a symbol, but actually showing that by like the characters like looking in the shadows and like fucking off.
They treat him like a horror monster.
Yeah, like, which he should be.
Exactly. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was gonna say the scene with him walking through the cops is fucking hilarious, and it's like it makes no sense except for him to do it as like this is how fucking badass I am because it makes no fucking sense to do it. Yeah, it's just a flex. It's like it is so weird, but I love all the contact lenses. Was like I was like, oh, that's really actually a smart way to do this without having like where we could still see his eyes so he can emote. But like he is gathering info.
I'm also gonna, and me and Arlen talking about this. Like, Wright is my new favorite Gordon. Holy shit! I don't know what his performance is so not like anything I've seen anyone from Gordon, and like I love the way that just the way sometimes like he's super fucking cool and super fucking smooth, and then sometimes he's like, "Open your eyes."
He's snarky. With like the thumb drive thing, he's just like, oh, this guy.
Well, Wright is very good at doing a lot with very little, and just like sneaking in little lines and little bits that tell you so much about his version of Gordon. And I mean, this stood out to me a lot because I recently revisited Casino Royale, where he does a very similar thing with.
I forgot he's in that movie. Yep. He's the CIA guy.
In that movie, he has like maybe 3 lines, but he's one of the most memorable characters in the entire movie because of what he does with the lines that he has.
I love that he calls Batman man. He's like, "We gotta get you out of here, man."
See, I like that.
I don't even know who you are, man.
Everybody else is still freaking out that he exists, and he's just like, "Yeah, it is what it is. Just whatever."
See, to me, like of any other. Of any of the other Batman movies, they are getting the vibe of Gotham is New York a lot in this movie. And he comes off as I lived in New York for fucking forever. This is not the most shocking thing I've seen. Like, and it's kind of that old school, smooth, like, it's gonna, like, sound, but that's what it came off like. It's that smoothness of, like, an old school New York black guy. Like, and that's him saying, man.
Yeah, Hackman and the French Connection type thing, where it's just like, whatever, just like, fuck it.
Well, I think the reason why Wright works so well too is that like, based on where Gordon would be at this point, like he's starting to realize like, oh god, this precinct like is so much dirtier than I realized, and like, what the big reveal is kind of where he starts to maybe formulate like, oh. Like, I know what I can do to fix this, and it gives him the opening.
I'm trying to remember where he originally comes from before he gets transferred to Gotham in the comics.
In year 1? It depends.
Wasn't it Chicago?
That's what I was going to say. I think it is actually real-life Chicago. And so he comes from a shitty place to is like, oh, I'm glad I'm leaving this shithole. And then he's like, oh, God. I'm in the shithole under the shithole.
Yeah. Because in Zero Year, and this is one of the few things I don't like about Zero Year, he's like a lifetime Gotham person.
Yeah,
I don't
no.
like that. I like him being like someone that moved there.
Yeah, I
And
think it's important.
became the living soul of Gotham more so than Batman, in all honesty.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, we've talked about this in the various chats. Like the Year One stuff with Gordon is probably my favorite Gordon stuff and my favorite Batman stuff in general. Just him and his part of it, and him being as important to everything, and you get the feeling of that in this movie. You get a sense of like this history from the comics that is active in this universe that you're seeing, and I think that's part of what I really liked about it. Even though we're not going to see a Year One adaptation that does like all the Gordon stuff, I don't think we are.
I don't think we need to.
I don't think we need to either, but I can still I imagine in my head the scene of him, it's the line we were talking about the other day, I haven't laid out a Marine in a while. I can imagine Jeffrey Wright having that moment and him just like taking out a guy who's, 1.5 times his size.
And to me, to compare him to the only other really true live action Gordon, he seems like a competent cop. And we never really get to see that in the Nolanverse.
Nope.
Like Gordon's almost kind of goofy in many places, like in the Batmobile scene when he gets into it, and it's like kind of takes the piss out of him.
Yeah, there's a lot of they give a lot of the jokes to Gordon, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it undermines again like how instrumental he is as like the other side of things. Like he's very important to Batman being effective in what he's doing. And the Nolan movies, aside from maybe Dark Knight, don't really depict that.
He's the most involved in Dark Knight. Like he's getting dangerously close to what's going on in the Dark Knight, to the point where like he's the fulcrum of the fucking climax.
And then Dark Knight Rises is like, oh, he's basically
here, lay in this bed, Jim. All right, stay there for a long time.
Yeah, and he's cartoony in Batman Begins.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and John corrected me on this, but Lou and Connor, you can correct me further. I thought his accent was weird in Batman Begins when I revisited it recently.
I think it's weirder in The Dark Knight, because in The Dark Knight he is like his Scottish, like wherever it is, like wherever he's from, slips out in the weirdest ways. Like I said in the chat, like he says that one line, says like, "Don't try to hide from the fact that clearly Maroni has people in your office," and instead of saying Dent, he goes Dent.
Yeah, the like British like street punk.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they like a lot of those guys tried to do like a really thick Eddie Brock-esque New York accent or Southern.
Eddie Brock.
Well, that's the thing. Most of the time, it's Southern accents, which people from the UK and countries other than the United States seem to be able to latch onto, because it's so exaggerated and it's got such a wide swath.
And then they sound like Foghorn Leghorn.
When it's bad, it doesn't feel out of place.
Yeah.
Like the guy from Walking Dead for a few seasons. Like, and it's not a Southern accent, but it still works.
Coral.
And I do think in 2022, making Gordon
it totally is.
Like he's him and holy shit, Colin Farrell. Oh my god, he's gone. Like there's no Colin left. I
was shocked. I thought it was gonna look
Miles.
like
I'm
bad.
like, he looks just like Arkham Penguin, just in the grin. Like
he's a little too tall. And like maybe they could have framed it better, but like he looks fucking fantastic. And his attitude is great. I love the scarring.
Yeah, and literally, like you can barely tell that's Colin Farrell. Like there's little bits here and there in some of the shots of him, but
his eyes, like there's parts of his eyes you see it. Like if you really know him, like seen, like you can kind of see through that, but like the nose and below, like it looks so good. Yeah, and he's doing a great job.
Some of his delivery, like, I just can't get in my head. Like, the fucking Batmobile chase where he's like, "I got you, you friggin' psycho! I got you!" Like, he's so good. He's so unhinged.
Yeah, the scene I saw him in, it's like, I love how they made him, like, such a cocky, like, asshole.
Yep.
He's like, "Do you know who I am?" And it's like, "Do you know who you are?" And he's just like, I love just like that. Like, it's just like a well designed penguin.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm guessing you're talking about the part where it's
the first time we see him.
Yeah, he's first talking with Batman.
Yeah, and when he shoves him against the glass.
Yeah, like how he's like looking at him out of the corner of his eye when he's putting the drugs blatantly on the serving tray. Like, yeah, now, he's just like, "Oh,
obviously, I haven't finished it. Is those supposed to be Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
That's what I was thinking.
It has to be a reference
to twins.
Yeah,
twins.
I think it is a reference to that.
Completely what I was thinking.
Yeah,
and I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
That would be a really good pull for them to do because, like, they're so dumb. Like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. What were you gonna say, Arlen? Those twins.
Those twins. Former
flashback to '90s Budweiser commercials.
Former reoccurring stars, co-stars from Teen Wolf.
Okay. Never mind. I rescind the
away from my joke.
You know what's funny, Arlen, is that you and I had this. I sent you something like I checked back on Superman and Lois, and like, man, the fucking Bizarro stuff they are doing is awesome.
Oh, we can talk about this. I love that shit.
Before we get away from Batman too much, I did just want to bring up the fact that like, I think it did so much so right with Batman and touched on so many things that I've wanted to see in a Batman movie, and I wasn't in love with it. Like, I liked it, but it just, I feel like the thing that was hurting it the most to me was that it wasn't an R-rated film, and you could feel them
honestly
pushing against.
What hurt it for me along those lines is it like, remember that first tweet that came out when the test screens came out? They're like, it's a 3-hour horror movie with an ending and final scene so shocking your eyes will melt out of your face. And like, I was like, there's no way this movie is living up to this ridiculous description you're throwing at us. Like, the people coming out of there were like, it's awful and disturbing and it's rated R and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, none of this shit is true. It can't be true. Yeah. And then like, none of it was.
It's all implied violence.
Movie before, if this is the first time you've seen a film, maybe I could see that reaction.
But that was I think was my big thing for the whole movie, is that it felt like the PG-13 like seam was just ready to explode on them the whole time during this movie, but they fought against it, and it's almost like I don't know why Warner Brothers wouldn't be bold and be like, no, you know what? We're bringing out an R-rated superhero film.
Yeah, and along the lines of that tweet, like they kept the one thing I remember from that was like, oh my god, the ending is so crazy. Like you'll never. I'm like, is it gonna end with like the Riddler disemboweling Alfred, like and giving him the angel's wings from Silence of the Lambs? Because that's fucking shocking. But like, no, none of that shit happens. Yeah. Like,
I mean, well, I'm guessing in the cut that they're talking about, like it ends with the flooding. And that maybe, I don't know, or maybe it ended with like an extended Joker thing, because I don't know what that could be.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of wondering if that deleted scene was originally.
Yeah, I was gonna say that leaked or that they released that, right? That Joker.
Yeah, they did. Well, what it was the website that ends up getting revealed at a point in the movie was a real website that you could go to, and you would have to answer questions, and it would have like behind the scenes stuff and just like promo material, and that's that Joker thing that leaked or not leaked was released. You could originally open up via that website.
Oh,
yeah, I will say Riddler's terrifying.
Yes.
Holy shit, Paul Dano,
and it's an idea that they have been flirting with since before Batman Forever to do the Riddler that way.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, because I think Tim Burton had wanted to do something similar with the
there was a point when I think Eddie Murphy was supposed to be it, and they wanted to do him as a serial killer.
Mm-hmm. I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it was Marlon Wayans. No, wait, no,
that was Robin. That was Robin.
Yeah, I know.
I like the little inclusions from Long Halloween, like the Carmine Falcone getting operated on like by Thomas Wayne in his house. I'm like, that is some sublime stuff you're pulling from that book. Like that's really good shit.
All of the deep cut comic stuff was very enjoyable. All of that, every aspect of that, and the way that I think it all worked in a way that felt natural and compelling. And I really appreciated that. But Eric, I think you're getting at something where I really appreciate the idea of it's 7, but Batman is there.
Mhm.
That
and
in
like you could
itself is a good idea.
you can do the R rating without it being Batman the cause of the R. Make the villains be the cause of the R.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It's
That's what they did in Justice League. All the violence in the Snyder Cut is committed by Steppenwolf.
Discovery knows that they're going to make money off of 13 to 15-year-olds who are going to see this movie too,
Well, even
along with all the adults.
even the other people who have been in charge, the guy who was in charge of New Line for a very long time, who sort of has been the real consistent voice at DC for the last few years, like he knows the difference between releasing a PG-13, spookum movie and an R-rated one, and he's done the math, and I think it was a purely like mathematical decision.
Yeah,
This is what we can do.
It's hard to sell a Batman-shaped pizza if it's rated R.
Right.
exactly.
It's hard to have all like the marketing for that movie was insane, and what you're going to get on return isn't. It's just not worth it with a character that's that way. And again, it's not that they wouldn't have made money. Joker, as much as I do not like that movie very much, was a gigantic success.
Yes, it was.
It was just like one of the biggest R-rated movies ever released. So it's not that they couldn't have made money releasing this as an R, but there was somebody
They could make more money releasing it as a PG-13. Yeah, and that's one of the other reasons that like I know they went with PG-13, because nobody, honestly, and this isn't me being like Marvel Zombie, but until Marvel releases an R-rated movie, nobody else is going to try and touch the idea. Like DC is entirely too gun shy.
Once you get an MCU Disney branded Deadpool, I think things will change. Like, but
and that's coming.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get a main, in DC's case, a big three. In Marvel's case, I don't even think they have a big three anymore, just because of
it's because those guys retired. If you consider it. And Moon Knight's getting real
the movies. Like before the MCU, I would have said the big three was Spider-Man, Wolverine, and Eric. Who would you have said was the three?
I would say Cap.
Cap has always been.
Yeah, like if that's the big three, I would say that is evaporated because they've just spread all their energy out in such a way so that like every character is a big character.
Like if they decide or whatever they decide to do with that stuff, I know we're pivoting. Wolverine is the movie. If they do anything of a solo movie, would be an R movie. Yeah, he kills everything. That's the whole point of him.
Also, you can't make like you can't shy away from like a post Logan world where that movie was fucking success.
I need to see literally like hunks of meat as he's like slicing through people.
On that point, I think that's why it could happen, because we already know Deadpool 3.
Yeah, it's greenlit. They're making it.
And it's going to be an R. Ryan Reynolds has said as much, and the implication is he would have left if they wouldn't have let him do that one as an R.
There's no reason.
Well, once again, though, that excuse me, that goes back to what we were saying earlier about the Batman, Arlen, is that that is a cost analysis. If they're like, if we release PG-13, we're going to lose a huge amount of people who would go see this movie.
And they're willing to do that with Deadpool because they don't see nearly the same drop off with their math. I mean, again, that's why they were willing to do it with the Joker, because the Joker is a character where, there's no reason not to do this one as an R. Doing this as PG-13 actually might hurt us. It might actually hurt our chances of this being.
God, can you imagine can you imagine that movie PG-13? Like,
it wouldn't exist the way it does, because I don't think Joaquin Phoenix would have signed on to a PG-13 Joker.
Yeah, and
I think you can do some of the cuts.
That movie is all performance and teeth, and like if you took the teeth out, like you'd have performance, but like there'd be no substance. Like I think that movie is like really firing all cylinders when it's being that like outwardly shocking. So I think the joke, like the origin story, is like meh, but like watching Robert De Niro get his fucking head blown off on TV is it's kind of fucking awesome. Like, sorry, like I've never seen him eat shit like that before on film.
I can show you some movies.
Well, if you want to see somebody eat shit, just go watch Pink Flamingos.
I was thinking a different way. What's the movie he did with Al Pacino when they were super old?
Righteous Kill or the other one?
Righteous Kill, or what's the boxing movie he did against Stallone when they're like 75 years old?
I haven't even seen that one. Oh, wow.
That exists.
And John Bernthal is in it too, I think. And
yes, I believe he is, and
Good
Joey
for him.
Diaz.
Get that money.
Which, if they ever do anything with the Punisher, that needs to be R.
Yeah. Well, he's.
I thought you were going to say it should be Joey Diaz, and I was like, yeah.
I took the elevator like a doctor.
Nah, he's micro.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god, that'd be the fucking best. Hey, Frank.
Frank, you gotta hack into the. You gotta hack. You gotta do the hacking. I'm typing.
You gotta plug the USB in there, and I'll do the thing.
Like a fucking doctor.
Superman Lois is the only fucking good thing that CW is producing right now.
I stopped watching everything else.
I have no desire to go back to Flash, even if they did finally do the thing that me, Arlen, were screaming for years, which is bring back Ronnie Raymond.
He's been busy.
They brought it back, and guess what? It sucks. He's Deathstorm.
I'm not surprised.
He's Deathstorm, and Deathstorm looks like a fucking. He looks like the Iron Maiden.
Wait, they brought him back again as Deathstorm?
Yes, but now he is now he's Ronnie Raymond from the Singularity after he died, and he's a brand new character. But the problem is Deathstorm himself is a CGI monstrosity that looks like the Iron Maiden character. Who the fuck is what's that fucking thing?
Oh, Eddie.
It looks like Eddie with a big flaming head. It looks fucking terrible.
Yeah, I'll just keep watching Upload, and me and Eric will message each other about it.
Yeah, but Superman Lois is one, the production values fantastic, and two, it's just consistently good, and the stuff with Bizarro is really, really interesting.
I'll watch it someday.
Yeah,
not just I think the kids story and the B and C stories are also really good.
That's the thing. I bet the show is really strong with. None of these subplots get tiresome, and you're not stuck with an Iris West. Everybody's good. No. Everybody is functional. Everybody's likable, and even Lana Lang, with her shitty fucking conservative husband, it's I'm invested in this because I want to.
Oh, they're doing stuff with it.
Yeah,
it's. And I think they kind of address, and it makes why wouldn't that character exist? They're
exactly.
in fucking Kansas.
And even at some points, they make you like him. You're oh, he's not he's just a beneath all the
dumbass.
Rough. He's just a fucking he's a dumbass. But he's not horrible. But there's that. I found that I'm not up to date, but I came across this scene where they're showing the Bizarro world, and it's got this fucking red sun, and Bizarro lives on the same farm, but it's trashed, and there's photos where Lois and one of the kids are scratched out, but not Jonathan, and they all talk backwards, and the presentation of Bizarro was fucking cool.
Now I had a question. I only get my news from Tucker Carlson, and which of Superman's kids in this is half a quar?
God damn it.
The one with powers.
Oh, okay. You're telling me that they're saying queers can have the same sorry. Anyway.
Oh no, he's oh, I didn't know what that meant. I thought you were talking about would you say he's
half a quar?
I was gonna say, Connor, would you say that they're kind of
to find out, even contextually, I'm what the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah, I thought you were talking about that he has mental problems, because then that's what I thought. Because I think they're trying to kind of dance around that he's on the spectrum.
I would say that Tucker Carlson would agree that these type of people have a mental problem.
Wow.
I don't even know what to do.
Yeah, I'm just turning red.
You broke me.
What is it? It's Jonathan. No, it's Jordan.
No, it's Jordan. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're both named after Jor-El and Jonathan. Jordan, they say in the first episode, has an anxiety disorder and just can't. He has a lot of trouble functioning in high pressure social situations. And I like the dynamic between him and Jonathan, because Jonathan is God's gift to preps and jocks. He's fucking he has everything. He's handsome. He plays football. Everyone loves him. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonathan, they have this connection. And I love the idea of him and Jonat him getting pissed because they moved to Smallville and he loses all of that. He's like, yeah, I have nothing now. And like,
and
he's
like
powerless.
and then his shitty emo brother gets superpowers.
Well, he gets superpowers, and Clark's like, okay, you can play football, because Jonathan speaks up for him. He's like, no, let him play football because it's the happiest I've ever seen him. And like the 2 seasons so far, like Jordan, it has substantial restraint when playing football, and pretty much is only doing it to have fun and not stand out. Like he's doing it because it's the only thing that gives him joy. He did take it from Jonathan, but it's really interesting. And like Lois is fucking awesome. Lois doesn't fucking need Clark around. Lois has put Clark in his place so many times.
Clark literally has no job.
Yeah, and Tower Heckron's amazing. He's playing both Bizarro and Superman in this one. The Tauro character is awesome. I didn't think I would like him
he
as
is
much.
such a interesting character.
So in Superman and Lois, what is fucking Superman's mom's name? Not Martha.
Lara.
Lara fucked around on Jor-El, and
so they kind of steal from the Man of Steel origin stuff with them genetically connecting people.
Okay.
And that she was genetically connected to another
marriage, right?
Arranged, but they never did anything, and he is a bio baby.
Okay. So so in this, Cal has a biological brother who shows up under the guise of Morgan Edge, and he's secretly a Kryptonian. And then like they had this recurring thing with the Kryptonite, where like he was basically producing kryptonite on Earth to basically make super soldiers, but it's like super fucking unstable, and there's only a limited supply of it.
Yes. Basically, Lara also invented the Eradicator, and that is what he's using to put Kryptonian consciousnesses into humans and bring back Krypton.
So yeah, and like you have Steel, who is awesome.
He's amazing character.
Yeah, he shows up as Captain Luthor in the first season, and then he's revealed to be John Henry Irons from another Earth where Superman went rogue and killed everybody. And so he shows up.
It's literally he came from an Earth where this plan from the brother works.
Yeah. And I was telling Arlen, they have the groundwork right now to do the Reign of the Superman if they wanted to, but killing Clark is just don't do it.
Well, yeah, and it's not that interesting of a story.
No, but the thing is, they have Jordan as Superboy, they have Steel as Steel, they have Tauro as Eradicator, and then now you have Bizarro hanging around. Like there's enough pieces, and honestly, having this many Kryptonians and Kryptonian level threats around, you think would get stale, and it just fucking doesn't for some reason. Called the writing is just so good.
Plus what the government is doing. Plus, there's a fucking cult that Lois is investigating that her sister was a part of.
Yeah, there's isn't there like a weird government like Kryptonian X-Men program where they're making these?
Yes, basically the stuff from the Kryptonite, the government is using that to make super people.
Yeah,
I went to like 5 or 6 different comic stores over this week or so that I've had off. We are the absolute worst. Nerds are the worst people on earth. Like, holy shit. Like, I'm listening to all of that, and I'm like, I know all of these things that you're talking about and what they're references to. Oh God, we're the worst types of people on earth, aren't we?
I mean, did you see that fucking tweet I put in the chat earlier? Those people are the worst. Wrestling fans are the worst.
Oh my God, yeah.
Oh God,
guys, Bret Hart is gonna outlive all of us. He's gonna outlive me, my children, my children's children, and then finally, after that's done, he will induct Owen Hart into the WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah, according to I really like Red Hat's KKK Con.
Exactly. Yeah, QAnon 1. Yeah.
But it was Hang Tony Khan with 3 Ks.
But with 3 Ks.
3 Ks, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That Venn diagram of people who really love and believe in wrestling and terrible idiots is getting closer and closer.
I mean, from my perspective, it has always been that close.
They put a WWE superstar into the White House.
Yeah, they did.
They really did.
Fucking.
Also, he's up there for taking one of the worst stunners of all time too. He just it is.
Is he in the WWE Hall of Fame?
I don't think so, but like
not yet.
It is surreal to watch.
I am shocked that he's not.
It is so surreal to go back and watch Donald Trump take a bump because like he gets punched, I think, at some point, and like just he can't even fall without looking like just a fucking fool, and like he takes a stunner from Stone Cold at WrestleMania that one year, and like I think of all wrestling moves ever, it's the easiest one to take. Grab his
You
shoulders,
literally just have to go
fall
to your knees,
and then fall backwards. That's it. Like it's the most trauma-free kind of move. And Trump takes it by like throwing his arms out all the way, bending at the waist a little bit, and then just slumping over. Like it's amazing to watch him leave a vertical place because he looks so fucking weird.
Well, Connor, he had the best high jump his high school coach had ever seen in his entire existence.
He did. So when he eventually, and oh god, when he eventually gets reelected, you realize he's just going to be an insane god king. He will be in the WWE Hall of Fame, and he probably will show up and take bumps at WrestleMania. Like he will be completely mad with power at that point.
Well,
so
this is the beginning of Running Man future, Eric, where at the end of the match, a dissident is sent into the ring. and dogs are also put into the ring, and those dogs have in a week.
He has Joe Biden wrestle a gauntlet match against like all of the wrestlers that he could name.
No, see, I want them to straight up bring in the gladiators from the Running Man or whatever they were called. Like I want Nitro there. The Hunters, thank you. I want Nitro there. I want Buzzsaw. Like I want that opera singing
Sub-Zero.
What did they say?
Now no zero.
So, Obama and Biden, they don't even get to participate. They just have to watch. They're like put on like crucifixes and they're forced to watch.
Oh my god!
I imagine if you tried to give Joe Biden a stunner, like Stone Cold wouldn't get past the kick. Like he'd kick him and Joe Biden would just explode to bones. Like just like
he's 87 years old. Yes.
Oh, but his
you know what?
See, I love the idea of the Onions version of him popping out. Like, I don't think you understand who you're messing with, sir. Like, rolling up the sleeves.
Joe Biden is actually the Undertaker.
He grabs Steve Austin's foot and just like breaks his knee. Like he just bends his leg upwards. Like
he does that, and then he rolls up his sleeve and reveals like really bad AC/DC and like Motley Crue tattoos on his forearms.
So Joe Biden is Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yes. No. So what he does is he does a spell and he eats an entire onion while doing the spell, and he summons the onion version of himself. And and he controls his body. And
what are you referencing?
I have no idea.
That sounds like something
you
out
lost
of a Japanese RPG.
Oh, like when you brought up the Running Man, all I started doing was like
maybe.
I started current day fan casting.
The onion represents the website. It's a
Oh, you're saying he eats an onion and becomes the onion's representation of Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It make entirely too much sense.
But hey, wait, you combine both of them. Like you put Joe Biden in the ring with Steve Austin, and Steve Austin's like walking to him, and like Joe Biden reaches behind him and like pulls out an onion from his coats, and he's like, "You don't know who you're messing with, son," and just like takes a fucking big gross bite out of an onion.
Is it like a Vidalia onion that's the size of my fist?
Yeah. Yes. No, it's the onions that are.
And everyone stops like motherfuckers took a bite out of an onion. And then he just lariats Steve Austin, whose head just pops off like.
And then he says, "I brought somebody with me, and it's Al Pacino with his Shrek phone."
And a Dunkachino.
Yeah, exactly. And
See, my brain went into a different cast. I was like, all right, who are we casting as these hunters in Trump's new thing? And I was like, oh.
No, it's all Fox News slew. It's all, it's Laura Ingraham.
Well, no, because I was thinking of, oh, man, now I lost the name of the football player that's running for Senate.
Is it Watkins?
No, Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, who talks about having multiple personalities and that he also only eats soup and works out. All he does is push-ups and sit-ups like One Punch Man.
No, so Lou, you have a good point. It should be like
too.
I think in every major sport, maybe I'm not the sportsman like some of you are, particularly Lou. In almost every major one, there has been like at least one guy who's like come out as the MAGA guy. There was a
there's a lot of them.
Yeah, there was the one MMA guy who was like wearing like red, white, and blue shorts.
Yes.
And like a MAGA hat.
Kofi Covington. Yeah.
Yeah, and
it was literally, but it's a character he put on that made him very famous and lots of money. Like he was Alex Jonesing it, but not filing for bankruptcy.
Right. Yeah, and And,
Did you forget his kid's name because he ate chili?
Right, and he wasn't claiming any kids were fake killed or crisis actors. Uh, uh, Anyways, the real world is a nightmare. That's why we do
No.
this shit.
Sorry, I was chewing some M&Ms and taking care of dog stuff. So back to the eating an onion thing real quick.
No, we don't have to continue on that.
No. This is it's fun side story. My
Eric's like,
uncle,
no, I insist.
I do. My uncle was a colonel in the Air Force before he retired, and he had told my mom stories about training and things like that. And I got to hear about him secondhand. And one of these stories was that during a particularly high level, like, I guess, survival drills that some of the upper echelon had to go through, he was dropped out of a plane with a parachute and a bag containing a survival knife and an onion. And he had to he had to get to, I get whatever point, however many clicks away, and he was talking about how he was eating the onion like an apple at one point. He was so hungry.
God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because to tag onto your story, because we met. He came over today because he just had a baby.
My uncle did.
Our friend, he was an Army Ranger. We don't know what he does now, but he disappears for weeks on end and then comes back.
He's CIA.
There's a whole lot. Don't fucking worry about it.
I don't know. He does something he's not allowed to tell us. He said during his Ranger survival training, he basically had the same thing. They didn't have to go in the plane, but they left him in the desert. And part of it was field dressing and eating raw rabbit.
Oh,
because
nice.
you cannot make a fire because that'll give away your position.
Yeah.
So we gave them as a gift for their new baby.
Rabbit that just bite into a fucking onion, like.
We gave them a stuffed rabbit as a gift for their son.
Oh God!
Like a stuffed animal, as like a joke. He also told me I'm trying to remember I think it's Michael Mann movie with them. Bro, it's not Ronan.
You're asking the exact right person. You just got to give me more.
Yes, Al Pacino, De Niro, Val Kilmer. Heat. Like, though he confirmed that the rumor is true, that to show how to do proper cover training, they watch the scene from Heat.
That's crazy.
In the military.
Because the people at Heat, they went to like the LAPD and stuff, and the LAPD has some of the best gun training in the country, or some bullshit like that.
Yes, at the time, yes.
Well, the LAPD weren't the LAPD involved in like the longest police shootout in history?
It is after Heat, I believe.
It's
or
after
they base Heat on it.
But even the shooting before that longest shooting, the previous one happened in LA, I believe. And they just have some of the most consistent.
I think like it's like a 47-minute standoff, like with
because the guys were all ex-military and they were wearing bulletproof vests and stuff. I don't remember if they got the idea from Heat or they based the movie Heat on them.
What's funny is that I didn't make that connection till now, but like there was a made-for-TV movie called 47 Minutes that like details the whole thing too. I remember seeing that a long time ago. There's also I don't know what show this is. I can't remember what the name of it, but like I came across it on YouTube, and it's a cop show, but it's one episode is devoted entirely to a school shooter, and like it is like 30 of the most tense minutes I've ever seen on television. Because you follow these people, like these cops, in and out of this building, and like there's no music, and they're following them like basically you follow like a few groups, and like it is harrowing. You don't ever see anybody get shot, but you see constant carnage. Like there's just people lying everywhere, and like I think at some point like one of the officers gets shot, and like that's the only person you see get hit, and like I gotta look. Oh, it's so fucking good. It's called like The Something, but it's it's a number. I gotta look it up.
Okay, that sounds familiar. Yeah, I mean, on similar subject, I recently watched, like 2 months ago, but I watched one of Denis Villeneuve's first movies, Polytechnique. Fantastic movie. Very brutal, though. Extremely brutal.
What is it about?
It's about a school at the Polytechnique University. a shooting by what was the guy? He's like a pre-incel, basically.
Okay.
His entire thing is about how like liberalism is ruining women, and how
Well, it is.
Right. Yes. And how they shouldn't be going to space.
Mhm.
And it's something about that, and it's basically like a lot of build up. You're sort of meeting the characters that you're going to be watching throughout it, and the shooter, and then it's just almost completely unbroken I think in somewhat real time, the shooting as it took place. And it's really
the show is called
and
19-2, and it's a Canadian police procedural.
Oh, I don't. That was just a bunch of ketchup and red maple syrup. Then nobody was getting shot in Canada. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, Canada.
You can get back up there where the performance is over, there, son.
I feel like in Canada they're the only people I could think of that would take it seriously enough, but they also wouldn't be afraid to cross some lines that American producers may not want to.
I will say, like, I don't watch cop dramas because, like, I watch CSI, but that's not a cop show. That's a fucking sci-fi show. Like, they're like, I've got the blood sample. I'll put it in my computer. It's done.
Well, also, fuck 12.
Yes.
Also, let's let the scientists in the room to interrogate.
Yeah, the scientist
suspects.
the scientist with a gun will also interrogate the suspect.
Yeah, be like, who the fuck are you? You're not a cop. Fuck out of my face, old man Grisham.
But like, this
What are you doing shooting mitochondria?
This was the most.
They had
like,
to give him an excuse to hold a gun again.
Yeah,
they had to give Will Graham an excuse. So yeah, why not?
This was the most like sincere and intense and like terrifying like segment of TV I've seen in a long time, because like they took it super fucking seriously. There's barely any dialogue, and like this, there's no music, and like the way the camera is, it's a shaky cam, so you get this very realistic feel to it, and like you never see the shooter either. You always see like you see from the POV of like the cops, and like he's always ducking behind a door, or he's got a hostage, or he's hiding on a shelf. Like you never see him, and like most of it is just the cops trying to fucking make sense of this. And it's awesome. I think the whole like it's most of the episodes on YouTube. And that's how I found it. Like it just the algorithm popped up one day. I was like this, and I was watching the toilet at work. I was like, I have to go back to work. I can't put this down.
Well, I'm wondering if you don't see the killer because it's one of two things. It's either a moose, or it's the Wendigo.
Oh, anybody see Antlers?
It's 6.5 caribou.
Yeah, I saw Antlers.
Is it good? Because I fucking just blinked and that movie fucking came out.
Yeah, it's a horde of caribou led by one moose.
Yeah, well, they form like Voltron.
It's four small caribou in a trench coat.
Yeah, Antlers was.
I heard it's
good?
nothing like what it was sold as.
It's not a horror movie. It's barely even a horror movie.
It is just a sadness movie. Like
that's
it's
what I was told. I was told it is a
atmosphere.
big essay on trauma and the effect that it has on a family unit.
You know, I just want to say I got very confused right now, and I thought you were talking about the Kevin Smith movie. Was it Moose Jaws?
No, that movie.
I know. Yeah,
Moose Jaws doesn't exist yet.
Yes, no, I got very confused. I was like, oh wait, yeah, Antlers, the really fucked up one. Never mind.
No, Antlers is the one where it's like it takes place entirely in that sort of.
There's like abuse.
Yeah, it's a lot of that stuff. It's like about like child abuse and like the failing
and poverty. Yeah,
poverty, drug use, and
meth.
Yes,
and it's the area.
It's very methy.
It's the area between Washington, Vancouver, not BC, Washington, Vancouver, and Seattle. It's that little strip there that not a lot of people talk about, and it's very rural and.
It's where the vampires from Twilight hunted.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me tell you something. From what I understand, this thing would fuck one of those guys up. Okay.
When people talk about the coast here, they're not talking about that area. They're talking about Seattle, which technically isn't actually on the coast. Technically.
My question is, Arlen, if those Wendigos came into the United States, would they lose their curse? Because that's how it works in the Marvel universe.
Really? That's how if they leave Canada?
Wendigo curse is strictly Canadian. Once you cross out of Canada, you no longer have the curse.
I'm on the West Bank.
I would be a cannibal like at a drop of a hat in the Marvel universe if that's the case. Fuck,
Yeah, I mean,
Canada would.
Yeah.
Canada would be
need to be in
a
Canada all the time. I could be a part-time cannibal.
That curse respects political boundaries.
And the great thing about Canada is, like, if you're super far north in Canada, it's all people who had to leave the U.S. because of crimes. It's like entirely that.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
It's
Or they were
lot
goddamn cowards and wouldn't go fight the Chinaman in Vietnam.
right, exactly. It's all people who are on the run from something. There's something more.
You just reminded me of something. If anybody wants to be a real history nerd, Google the Pig War, which is a war that almost came to blows between the U.S. and Canada because a pig was killed.
I know bits about
this.
In this specific piece of land you were talking about.
Oversimplified covered this. I haven't finished the series yet, but yeah, he covered
yes.
that.
Yes. I thought you were going to say something about Robert Picton, but
No. Literally, Canada drew one map, the U.S. drew another, and one island, both of them claimed, and they put a guy on the other side of the island, and one killed the other guy's pig because he was eating his plants on his farm. And it almost caused a war between the United States and Canada.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, I can see it.
So on the note, real quick, of things that at least I know, Darlin, you were just talking about the Denis film, but there's a show on Apple TV Plus called Severance, and I would encourage everybody here to watch it.
That's the one with Adam Scott.
Yeah, I think that's his name. Yeah, he was in what? He was in
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Recs. Yeah,
and Big Little Lies?
Something like that. I'm not sure. But if you guys aren't familiar with the premise, the idea is that there are people who willingly get an operation that puts a chip in their head that when they're at work, they don't know about the outside world. And when they're outside of work, they don't know about what happened at work at all.
Wow.
So
technological compartmentalization.
It's a comedy. Well, no, it's like they ride an elevator down to where they work, and when they get to a certain point, the chip kicks in, and all of a sudden they're back at work again. It seems like a comedy, but it pulls some really great, like, I want to say, like, Twin Peaks light moves with it.
Is it
because
kind of like, what was Ant-Man? What the hell's Paul Rudd, that show he did?
I have no idea.
I know what you're talking about. I've never actually seen it, though.
It was like a year or two ago. He did a show about cloning.
Yeah, it was Living with Yourself. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Living with Yourself. Yeah.
No,
it was
no clue.
The idea is it's like you're wealthy enough to go into a spa to get rejuvenated, and what they do is they clone you and they kill your old self.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And they fuck up with him.
It sounds like it's more of a street comedy than what.
No, it's a dark. It's a dark comedy.
My understanding is that movie gets actually really dark in places.
Living with Yourself is super fucking dark.
I've seen a bit of Severed. I guess like a third of it. I was actually gonna binge it all like last week, but then I realized that my Apple TV had expired, so
I paid for a month of it just so we could watch that.
Yeah. I think I will do that because Pachinko looks really good. A bunch of stuff just hit there, and I don't know what's going on with that show, Slow Horses. It feels like they're in like a mid-season break or something, but that show really hooked me really quick.
That's the Gary Oldman one, right?
Yeah, and it's like if anybody's seen one of my favorite movies, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, it's like the opposite of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Like if Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy is taking spy stuff and espionage very deadly serious, it's much more of like the comedic
This is the roller coaster ride version of it.
Yes, this is like, spies like make mistakes and they fart and they.
Literally sitting here trying to come up with the antonym to each of those words.
Well, the antonym would be for Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. This is the one where it's like, spies are just like normal people and they just do normal things and they're not all like highfalutin 24/7, which is what Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy depicts. I've said that more times today than I thought I would.
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
I'm losing brain oxygen.
Have any of you watched that new Josh Brolin show on Amazon Prime, Open Range?
Yes, a new episode is out, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 new episodes are out.
Has anybody watched Halo? I'm kidding.
No,
I
watched
have
quite
next
a
door
bit
to
of it.
zero interest in.
No, Open Range.
9-month-old. I watch nothing.
Open Range, I think all of you should watch just because like it's definitely a showcase for acting talent, but like then there's the fucking bizarre aspect of it that feels like, I don't know, Wyoming, like Twin Peaks or Lost. Actually, Wyoming Lost would be a better way to put it.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's very strange.
No, extra white people.
Like,
Yes.
It's a bunch of like character actors who everybody has seen them in something, at least one thing. In my case, it's the guy from Banshee, who we've talked about at length before, the former neo-Nazi character. And then Josh Brolin is there also as the lead.
Mimi Rogers too.
Yes, yeah, as well.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. I've only seen the first 2 episodes. It sounds like there are 4 episodes now.
Yep.
So I need to get on that. But
it's a lot of it's them all playing people that are broken in different ways. It's pretty great. I mean, do you guys know what the premise is other than Arlen and I? The idea is that Josh Brolin finds this giant, perfectly round hole in his West Field, and there doesn't seem to be a bottom to it. And when you drop things into it, it transfers through time because stuff can appear at various points and in various conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a rival landowner who has some sort of involvement with the
Josh
whole.
Brolin.
And because of time travel shenanigans, he knows about the hole ahead of time, probably.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
Is Josh Brolin?
I think it's always been there, honestly.
Probably. Or at least the hole has been there and it hasn't been there at the same time. We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go either way.
It's funny you mention that because something happens in one of the episodes you're going to see. Anyways.
I can't wait. Honestly, I'm very excited now. You said it was 2 episodes. I was going to wait till the show ended and then just watch the rest. But
no, it's phenomenal. Like it's stuff that everyone needs to get on.
And this is a joke that I made that I don't mind repeating at all. I don't know how this happened because the writer has no experience before this. Nothing on IMDb at least. And if it was bad, I would be saying, what dirt does he have on Bezos? Does he have like pictures of him like doing horrible things? How does this work? How do you get a job at Amazon having no prior experience?
Amazon and Apple are making power moves to take over the streaming market. Like, and I mean Hulu, whatever is going to be Hulu because they can't stop Disney. But yeah, tying back to what Connor said in the beginning,
Netflix will be around forever.
Netflix is gonna hit some hard times, and they're gonna have to do a reset.
Isn't Amazon have the Lord of the Rings thing? Did they just put out like a teaser?
Yeah, Amazon's going for like spending more money than everybody else. I think that's their strategy. It's just like we're just gonna use all this extra money we have and outspend everybody.
Well, they've hit most of their stuff that have been hits.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff they put out. Like when I'm looking through the shitty version of the Amazon Prime app on my Apple TV, I'm like, that's an Amazon original. That's an Amazon original. Like there's a lot of stuff they're putting out.
I guess maybe a better thing is like they've had some actual big like hits. Like
Apple just won an Oscar. Like that's huge.
But for them, they only care about the prestige in their specific.
And Apple has one of the biggest comedies that came out in the last couple of years as well.
Yeah.
They care about. I want to say on the note of the Halo show, like
building the brand.
I wanted to give that show a real fair shot, and then like I heard something about episode 1 where I was like, I'm sorry, that just sounds hyper aggressive towards people who are familiar with this property. And
you're talking about seeing Master Chief's ass?
Yes. Yeah, he drops it right in front of the camera.
Them cheeks.
Yeah. Master Cheeks.
They're pretty good.
Master
They're not.
Chief.
They're not bad.
But no,
Chief, put on your armor.
Chief
You're
takes
making
off
my
his helmet.
meatloaf
How would you rate them, Arlen?
I would give them a solid 7 out of 10.
Rate them in Halos. Which Halo game would you compare them to?
Lou, you're asking the wrong person.
Yeah, I was going to be floored if you answered that question. No, I heard someone compared
the first 2 levels of Halo 4, and
Arlen says Halo Wars.
I heard someone compare it to the Mandalorian. How like the Mandalorian did so well by not showing you his face, and like there was really no built-in reason to not show his face outside of like Mandalorian. Don't take his fucking help. Like Master Chief's like he's iconic for not showing his face, and I feel like just in that situation, they're like, and they just take it off. I'm like that. You're telling me you don't really care about the people who've spent a long time with this IP by not telling me. Like you're doing it very brazenly and very just kind of like matter of factly.
Go ahead, Arlen.
I have thoughts on the show overall. I've only seen the first 3 episodes, and I think the tone of the show is interesting. I think the world building that they're doing is interesting. And it's enough that I will go back and watch the rest of it once it finishes, because I just I don't have the time. And if it's bad, if it like turns really bad objectively, even aside from the people who liked it early on or disliked it, I'd rather know before going back and watching it. I'd rather not have another The Stand situation.
Poof.
Yeah, but I do feel sympathetic to the fan contingent that was like, this doesn't feel like my Halo. Because on one end, I'm like, yeah, but do they need to cater to that? And this is an ongoing
fuck those nerds
discussion, right? It's like, why do we care about keeping them happy? But on the other end, like, well, maybe they should have, if to some degree, tried to stay truer to some of the source material. But
my thing is, if you're going to take off his helmet, you could have waited until the end of the first season or something. But like to do it in the first episode, it's like, wow, y'all don't
like Mandalorian.
I've zero connection to the show. Like, I mean, I've enjoyed Halo games, but I don't care about the lore that much. But my whole thing is like, all right, so they took his helmet off. Okay, yeah, unexpected. But I mean, if they end up telling a good story and it works out somehow that like needing to see his face becomes integral to it, cool, that's fine. But if they're just doing it just to be like, no, this isn't your daddy's Halo, and like taking off Master Chief's helmet, like what's the fucking point?
I think
there's headlines.
I think there's a little bit of both. But I do think it is more. This is a TV show. And it's nice that the Mandalorian was able to get away with not having Din Djarin take off his helmet.
Well, they had established the reasons why in like all the lore set up around the Mandalorian, like, so they were safe that way.
Yeah. And there was an arc that they were building to, and there was an emotional reason to keep up that mystery. Mm-hmm. And I do think, just me as like I said, the person who's never really played a full Halo game, but knows a little bit of the lore, there was no real reason for them to have him keep it on in the story that I saw. Where I am in the story, there was no real purpose behind him continuing to not take the helmet off, other than the fan reaction of, we don't want him to take his helmet off. And it's not the same thing as like Judge Dredd, where there's just so many different things going on with that character, and all these other reasons why you don't want him to take his helmet off, that make far more sense to me, and they have to do with, again, the thematics of that character, and the thematics of that character are far more important to him because he is a satirical character. He is a character that is meant to sort of be a lampooning of like fascist police state stuff and all this other things going on there that I don't consider to be part of Halo. And I don't consider Master Chief to be a character like Cap, where there's a political perspective that's attached to him.
No, but my thing with Master Chief is that, like, my understanding of Spartans, especially him in particular, is that, like, his entire existence is in that suit. Like, you never see him out of it because he fucking lives in it. And, like, he spends entire hibernation cycles in that suit. Like, he never comes out of it.
Well, the other thing to think about, though, like, having played a decent amount of the Halo games, is like he's kind of dropped in like a bomb.
Exactly. Yeah,
in places,
like
and because they do that, he doesn't have a whole lot of interaction with other people, so there's no reason for him to ever take the helmet off. And that's kind of why I
like him as a character, because like he does have he despite that he has a personality and he's interesting, but like he is like he's a walking nuke, and like.
So
he's Doom Guy with a better personality.
He's Doom Guy, but he's less like Doom Guy, as Hunter said, like he's a rage totem, and like Master Chief is like I think it's the UNSC. Like the UNSC is like, we have a trump card. His name is Master Chief. We'll drop him in the middle of your city, and you will beg us to surrender later on. Like,
so this is the other part of that I'm actually very glad that you brought that up. This show is not strictly about Master Chief. The biggest comparison that I heard that made me interested in actually checking it out was that it's a lot like the show that I've talked about to death, The Expanse.
Oh my God, I was going to say that as a joke. Oh my God.
No, it's one of the things I heard. I was like, fuck, I guess I have to check it out now. If you evoke The Expanse, I have to at least give this a pilot.
Geralt voice kicks in.
Yes, fuck. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I was like, damn it. And it is very The Expanse. There's, again, world building is a huge part of the show, and showing you all these different characters who you're supposed to follow, characters from the larger Halo world. And they are really like what the show is about. It's much more about the politics of very Game of Thrones-esque. In the sense that it's about this larger universe and seeing the impact of these things in a larger universe. If the show was called Master Chief, I think it would be different. And I would actually agree more with like the thing of like he shouldn't be taking his helmet off. This is a show about when Master Chief has to interact with regular people. And it makes, to me, more sense for him to take it off when he is interacting with just normal human beings.
See, this is why the Doom show could never work, because he would never be able to interact with normal people. He would just be killing the whole time.
Right. Yes. That's why you should never make a Wolfenstein show.
What he does in Eternal, which is just walk up to someone, grunt at them, and take their key card and walk away. Like every person's a pencil neck to him. And I agree, a Wolfenstein show would be so much fucking better because BJ Blazkowicz has so much personality.
I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want it though, because his story is so sad, especially in the later games.
Like, my God, the new Wolfenstein games are the saddest fucking things. Like, I have never been brought to that kind of emotional threshold at a first-person shooter, and like the end of the first game, I was like, I want to cry. Like, this is moving.
Like as I was playing it, Johnny Cash was playing in my head, just strumming, just like sad strumming as the game went on. I was like, oh.
Well, did any of you play the newest one, the one that's the multiplayer thing?
Daughters?
Yeah, the one with the daughters in it.
Is it called New Order, or was it?
I forget what it's called, but
implication that he was.
I think New Blood.
He was trounced about the multiverse.
Dimension hopping.
Yeah.
It's like that's the only reason to play it is because near the end of the game there's a cinema, or God, cinema. I'm from 1980. There's a scene in it that has a cutscene. Thank you, God, as I stumble around. Hey, I'm almost 45. There's a point where the sisters run into him, which they didn't know where he was. He was just off on a mission, and he explains to them, like, yeah, I saw a world where, like, none of this happened, like, where we're happy and, like, we're free and we're in America. And they're like, Hitler was defeated. And it's crazy that they threw that into a game that's really not that great in the long run. It's a lot of the same shit over and over again. But yeah, the dimension hopping thing I thought was just the craziest thing they could introduce to Wolfenstein.
Dimension hopping thing is my gateway to my dream game, which is a Doom Wolfenstein, a modern Doom, modern Wolfenstein crossover, where like BJ's like, you don't say too much, do you, there, boy?
I mean,
Doom guy is just
they
like
wouldn't even need
stepping
to do-
on things.
They could just do like one level in each of their own respective new games, where it's just like you have one level in Wolfenstein where you're on a Doom level for some reason, you're hopping through dimensions.
That precedent has already been set in the Doom universe. In Doom 2, there's a secret level where it's like, I can't remember how to get there, but it's this a gigantic fucking map, and it is all blue. The only enemies that exist are the machine gun guys from Wolfenstein, the dogs and imps. That's it. And it is a Wolfenstein crossover.
Well, I mean, they've been doing that since the first game, though. They had the classic Doom levels mixed in there. Like, so I think it's more a nod and a chuckle thing than it is an actual like, no, this is canon now.
Yeah. But I'm dying for it, because I would love to see like DJ's already a problem for like the new Colossus, like Nazis in that universe. Like, imagine dropping the Doom guy in there and then being like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, exactly. He would own them. Yeah,
I
don't know if you want to.
my wheels though, because this has been a long day.
Yeah, I think we should probably wrap it up. I'm not sure where Arlen is. I see that he has his microphone. Oh, there he is.
I've returned.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have to go. We don't have to keep going. I'll just say The Northman is fucking great. Go watch.
I'm gonna go see that. And I'm gonna go see Everything Everywhere All at Once pretty soon.
Yes, do that.
And if you, I don't think this is gonna happen a lot, but if you do run into like a weird Nazi who's decided to go see The Northman, shout them out of the theater. Do like an old punk show and kick them out of the theater. Not people in Nordic dress, but people who are explicitly Nazis. Tell them to go away. Because they are not welcome at the Northman.
God, we went about World War II all wrong.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to wait. I have to wait till all those things get put on streaming.
On demand.
Well, Lou, have you seen The Witch yet? Or The Lighthouse? We've never talked about
no, I have not.
I would be very fascinated to see your reaction to The Lighthouse and The Witch. That would be
The Witch is like the double V witch?
Yes.
The Vitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's got Anna Taylor-Joy in it, and she's amazing.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess signing off then.
Yeah, I have nothing to plug, and I feel pretty good about that.
There's attempts are being made to finish up the Bond series that we've been doing for LHP. But we're starting to really get into it at the same time that I have to move here very shortly. So this could be going on for another year that we're trying to finish up Bond. Who would have thought?
I did my episode.
Yes, it did. It was a very, I think it was a very good episode, and we managed. Yeah, and we did it in 90 minutes too, which was or something like that. It was,
God, that Bond episode has been talked about on this show, I think, longer than it took.
I know. I think because when we had a rewatch, it was not as bad as we all thought it was going to be, but still quite racist.
Also, very hard to talk about. Just not fun to talk about either. Like it's a very boring movie in places and there's just not as much to say as you would think. So yeah, go listen to those episodes and listen to the new stuff as it comes out. Also, there's season 4 that we're doing. We're gonna try and get back to watching like Jane Campion movies and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my plugs.
In 3 years. I'm Eric Shortjack. You can find me on Instagram at Eric_Fedor. There's pictures of dogs and cats, food and comics. I'm floating around Phantom Zone. I'm floating around other places. I do things. I say things. People should see Everything Everywhere All at Once. It's really, really, really fucking good. Like, really good. And watch The Night House, but be prepared, at least in my opinion, to be disappointed at the ending of it. That's all I got.
I'll just one little addressing of that. I was rewatching it before we started. I think I know. I think I know why. And I don't.
Okay.
I don't think I disagree. I haven't watched it since I think like last fall. So yeah. But
Okay.
yeah. So, Lou, do you have anything to plug?
You got any baby tips, Lewis?
Sleep train your children, but more importantly, as a teacher out there, go out, find out when your board of ed elections are, and vote in them. And if you don't have any good board of ed members, run in your local elections, vote in them. It's very important.
Like run away.
You know what, I'm gonna
No, I mean like run for your board of education.
No, I'm gonna second that with even further. Just pay attention to your local elections. That is where a lot of stuff is getting decided. And
what actually affects your day-to-day life.
And that's where all of the Trumpian politicians are creeping in.
Yep. And it's where they're getting away with stuff left, right, and center. Just like just
trying to do everything they can to hurt kids.
And I just go ahead.
I was gonna say, and if you ever feel the sense of nothing can get done, that we're stuck, that things aren't the way that they should be, remember that what happens on the national level can only affect you so much. What happens around you in your community is as important, if not more important. So yeah, just a thing to remember. Yeah.
The political talk reminded me that I wanted to mention, I think one of the hunters on the Trumpian American Gladiators would have just been Marjorie Taylor Greene carrying Lauren Brobert on her shoulders. They're tied together, and they're just a giant.
Oh no, they're Dynamo and
Elden Ring boss.
They would be just this
the grafted green
flesh.
They're carrying cans of not clamato. What was the thing that she said? Fucking cold tomato soup. What the fuck is that called?
Oh, gazpacho. Yeah.
Gazpacho. Yeah, she's just carrying cans of gazpacho that she throws at you.
No, they use Jewish space lasers to kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I guess on that note, good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night. If you're in Hawaii, watch out for wild Ezras.
You are more likely to be attacked by Ezra Miller in Hawaii than you are by a shark.